Accepting Fate, Bloodline Sagas, Chapter 1. The monster is coming. You know the feeling. We all fear them in one form or another. Your monsters may be different, but the feeling is the same. Like when I was 8, sitting in the dark, clutching my blanket, staring at my closet, convinced grotesque creatures would open it and pour into my room the moment my eyes closed, using the dark to mask their cruel intent. The inevitable reckoning threatening your security. I didn't know the monsters I feared then was actually my dad in the now. It took a while for my eyes to adjust in the astral realm of my dream. A single beacon of light brought comfort to the dark lands, resting yards away in front of me. Tiny glowing sprites floated like sparkles in the darkness around it. It didn't stop me from observing the shadows, trying to make out any creatures lurking within. Gripping the handle of my sword tightly, slick from my palms, images of monsters leaping towards me reeled into my mind. Or worse, the image of the monster we were meeting here. Knotting in my stomach threatened my bravery, the fear of the presence of evil, or maybe the fear of actually standing up to the man who I trusted and had raised me. If he had not caused so much turmoil, this could have been avoided. I got better with standing up for myself in our previous run-ins, but he combated my voice with more hostility, seeming to always come out a step ahead. I fucking hated it. The years of manipulation and unconscious oppression was embedded in me, even with the burning sting of betrayal, along with the disgust from his recent deeds. Why did a part of me still feel sorry for him? I had every right to hate him. The anger was still present, yet years of illusions of the perfect father figure complicated those feelings. Somewhere inside of my heart, I believed he would not seriously hurt me. And yet, he kept proving me a fool. Now waiting to rescue my best friend from this asshole, my feelings succumbed to guilt. Why feel bad for someone so vile and has hurt people I love? Giving my head a small tap with my fingers, striking some damn sense into myself, I felt stupid for a moment. Pushing these emotions aside to think on the task at hand, my heart rate sped up, sensing the dark essence somewhere nearby. Or was I still imagining it? The energy shift in the air, along with my instincts, screamed I was no longer alone. I am counting on our plan to work. Hopefully they show up before him. The thoughts intrude my mind. If we predicted this right, Kronos would come with Sarah. Then my friends and I could get her to safety, if they hurried their asses and made it here soon. Crouching on one knee, I reached towards my new familiar Jerry, giving him a quick pat on his head. Keep your eyes open, boy, he pants in my face. Rubbing against me, feeding some security to my loneliness. A gift from Odin, my mentor. Powerful large black wolf, which used to be Odin's familiar. Scanning the darkness again, I grew more impatient. We planned this hours ago. Scion and the elves were supposed to assist my group, helping them fall asleep at the appointed hour with a spell. Where were they? As if to answer my question, the shadows shifted. Liam emerged out of the black corner, stepping through the light to greet Jerry and I. All right, V. We exchanged a nod. How long have you been here? A few minutes. Wanted to make sure it was safe to come out, Liam shrugged. I was right. I knew someone was here. He didn't have a weapon. What are you using if this turns into a fight? I am your weapon, love. Why are you whispering? It is just us right now, he grinned. Caught off guard as Liam started removing his clothes, my head turned while shaking it. What in the hell are you doing? He did not explain. He had that look, causing worry about what he would say next. Don't act like you are not curious about how I look naked. And there the inappropriate statement is. I twisted to slap his arm, halting. Oh, his nipples are pierced. His eyes glow yellow, and the pupils shrunk into a slit while red scales wave over his skin, morphing his entire body into his reptilian form. I haven't seen any of my new friends in their starseed forms. I knew what type of races they were. Have to admit I was curious to see it, and satisfied at the inspiring sight of hope to see mine in the near future, after all this mess was dealt with. Black and silver, sparkly mist swarmed around Liam before his length expanded, now standing at 8 feet tall, making me feel a bit insignificant. I could not take my eyes off his large claws that grew from his fingernails, or the horns protruding on his head. My eyes led my analysis to the large plates down his spine. He was humanoid, a infernal hybrid, his face more angular, the cheekbones more pronounced, and his nose longer. He looks fierce and terrifying. With a shift of alert and focus, Liam stepped backwards, disappearing into the shadows to wait for Kronos to arrive. The plan was, assuming he would bring Sarah to dangle her life in my fucking face tonight, to distract and react by getting her back to her body safely, awake and out of her astral cage. We would defeat Kronos if we could, except if it got too bad, we would escape. I was trying to be confident about it. The true feeling was hopeful, though. The shadows began moving again, only this time it was Chris walking towards me, holding double axes with Sean and Michael following. I've seen that expression on him before. It softened once he saw me, his honey-colored eyes meeting mine as he got close to me. He bent, giving me a fast kiss, then took his place to my right. Sliding metal echoed in my ears. Sean pulled his sword from the sheath, nodding to Michael as he, too, used the darkness to hide. Michael went in the opposite direction and does the same. At least now we had all angles of the meadow around the beacon covered. We were ready. The familiar beacon grew, brightening up more of the meadow. Not enough to reveal them, though. We decided for Lydia to stay behind to watch over my body so I could not be attacked being in a vulnerable state. Without control of my abilities, I was open for a spectral attack if Kronos sent spirits my way. Jerry paced around the beacon. It was time for me to step into it. The last dream I had in the astral realm was similar when Kronos invaded it. The light seemed to protect me from him a bit. At least I'm not alone this time. I may not have had much training in battle, however, they did. Nervously, I treaded into the light, feeling my stomach do flips while trying my best to remain calm. The area was quiet. I watched the darkness a few moments longer till I felt the whole area in the meadow shift energetically. A lot heavier than when my friends entered the realm. He was here. The monster. I could not see where Kronos was, only fight the dread reeking from his presence. My head shifted around frantically, trying to find where he manifested. Catching movement from the corner of my sight, I turned my gaze right in front of me. The tiny sprites quickly sprawl apart and vanish into the night as if they knew doom arrived. Jerry growled, baring his teeth through a snarl. The fur on his back began to erect. A tall silhouette appeared outside of the beacon. It was Kronos in his draconian form. A huge black cloak drapes over his body, and the light reflected a Ouroboros symbol brooch on his chest. His scales glistening on his hands. The porcelain mask covering his face somehow made him appear more diabolical than usual, as if I ever thought it was possible. Not seeing Sarah, the blood drained from my face. A heavy wave of unease flowed down my body. Watching him get closer to me, my eyes shifted, worried he did not bring her. Jerry barked, snarling, with his eyes locked on Kronos, a warning for him not to get any closer. His yellow, reptilian eyes locked on me through his mask, gripping my sword until my fingers ached. All the emotions from his betrayal seeped into my mind. remembering how cruel this sick creature had been. I wanted to drive my blade through his heart, but he was intimidating, personally and physically, which created doubt inside of me. I am no fool. No way would I beat him yet. Regardless, I would fucking die before letting him see the effect he had on me. Vanessa, you disappoint me. His tone was cold. I forced a smirk, trying to show no signs of fear. And you underestimate me. You thought you could gain control over the order. Thought you could use me. And you thought you would get me to kill my friends. Too bad we are smarter than that. Keeping my eyes on his, not able to identify his reaction through the mask, I am sure my rebellion struck his nerves. You will do as I said. You will join the Ouroboros. You will tire of these games. If you refuse, the repercussions on the people you care about will be your fault. Are you willing to gamble with this? Kronos swiped his hand fluently over the grass at my feet, making Sarah appear in the fetal position, bound by ropes. Tears caked her eyes as her entire body shook uncontrollably. Her beautiful wavy hair, now a tangled mess, and her wide eyes locked with mine. My heart shattered into remnants, heating into rage at the sight of my best friend in such a condition. I tried to think fast on my next move, Sarah temptingly at my feet, but I could sense Kronos was waiting for me to move towards her. I hold his gaze, a silent moment of understanding. Only one of us would win at his cat and mouse games. Michael leapt from the shadows, his battle axe high above his head. He landed near Kronos, almost crushing the blade into his chest. But Kronos lifts his hand, using his energy force like a shockwave, knocking Michael off balance and throwing him back into the vastness. Sean darted forward, axe aimed, with a cry of rage invoked by the assault. Liam and Chris followed suit. Jerry lunged towards Kronos' feet, sinking his teeth into the scaly flesh. Green ooze flew from the wound and spattered across the grass. Kronos kicked him, knocking him to his side, causing a high-pitched yelp. Jerry quickly regained composure, leaping towards the bastard again, tearing at his cloak. With all the guys pursuing him simultaneously, Kronos was caught off guard, unsure which direction to defend first. I use it, quickly bending, since he was distracted, using my sword to free her. I got you, it's gonna be all right, Sarah. She nodded in relief, her arms finally untangled by the ropes. She pulled the gag from her mouth. Helping her to her feet, I pulled her into the light with me. It felt like I couldn't move fast enough, as if chaos roamed in slow motion. We watch all four men dancing in battle around Kronos, who's putting up a tough defense. Chris twisted his upper body, employing his axes. In one swift motion, he shattered the adversary's mask. Liam attempted to crush his claws into Kronos' now exposed face, but he ducked at the right moment, twisting to avoid the attempts of assaults that followed. He let out an angry shriek, lifting his arms before each of their weapons collided with lethal hits, making the entire area freeze, as if time literally stopped at the command of Kronos' will. All of the guys were motionless in different poses, telling a story of their lethal intentions, as if they were battle mannequin displays. Even Jerry was paused, his mouth wide open, drops of saliva stilled outside his mouth in midair. Sarah let out a whimper as panic erupted through my body. Kronos' laugh, starting toward us. Shaking my head and squeezing Sarah, I meet his eyes. You'll regret this, he growled. Turning back towards Liam, lifting his claws, I scream, Lydia, wake me up! I wait helplessly as his hand swiped down. Opening my eyes, not realizing I was back in my room, screaming and kicking until Lydia wrapped her arms around me to calm me. Vanessa, wise up, you're awake? I meet her blue eyes, relaxing a bit, until worry set in for Liam and the rest of my friends, unsure if we even rescued Sarah successfully. I snatched my phone from the nightstand and stood to head into the hallway of the hostel, dialing Sarah's number, motioning for Lydia to follow me to check on the guys. Immediately, we started toward Liam's door. Sarah picked up after the third ring. "Vanessa!" Her voice trembled. "You are safely back in your body. You're home and well now, right?" I asked, stopping outside Liam's room. Sobs filled my ears. "He killed my parents, Vanessa. What do I do?" My gut sank as tears burned my eyes. Knowing her parents for most of my life, they were great people. Shock set in as I was trying to search for something to say to her. "He even killed Walter," she says through hysterics. "Kronos killed her fucking dog, too?" My heart ascended in my throat. I struggled not to vomit, swallowing back bile. "Call the police, tell them Dave did it," I choked before Lydia shook her head. "What if he's framing her? Do you think Kronos is that stupid? The Draconians have been covering their asses for eons." Sarah heard her, letting out a deep breath as if she were holding it, sobbing harder. I had to figure out how to help her. My mind was scattered. "Okay, Sarah. There is a lot you need to know. I'm going to pay for a flight, and I want you to come stay here with me until we figure out what to do." "I'm so sorry." I hesitated. "You have to leave them. Do not touch anything. I cannot explain until you arrive, but you need us right now." I tried to keep my voice strong through the cracking. I met with silence. Then she released another sob. "Okay, I'll come, Vanessa. I trust you." With a sigh of relief, I was glad she'd be all right and with me soon. I turned to Lydia. "Can you go back to my room, get my card from my black bag, you'll see it on my desk. Book her the first flight from Syracuse, New York to Belfast. Sarah Hastings is the name you book it under." Lydia nodded, turning back quickly towards my room. "Sarah, hang in there. Just get to the airport in Syracuse now. I will see you soon." Pressing the end call button, I swung open the door to Liam's room. He was with Chris, sitting beside him on his bed. I let out a sigh of relief. They were okay. Chris stood up, walking over to me. "We rescued her, Shorty. We are safe now." Pulling me into his arms, he hugged me tightly, took in his scent, and relaxed in his embrace, trying to process the events. Liam stood, pulling his tracky hoodie over his arms, then looked at me with a grin. "What?" I asked him, resting my head on Chris's chest. "You were afraid I got hurt? Am I growing on you, Vanessa?" "Not in the mood, asshat." I heard Chris thinking about punching him, which made me smile. "I just don't want anyone I care about hurt. By the way, Sean and Michael." Liam shrugged, still grinning at me before he snuck a wink my way. I ignored his idiotic behavior. "They're all right, V. Safe and sound in their room. Once you woke up, we all did." He diverted his eyes away from me. Felt like he was hiding something. Then I reminded myself he was Liam. Always up to something. "Fuck up. It is not the time for your shite, Liam." Chris glared at him. "No, it's not. He murdered Sarah's family. She's on her way here." Chris hugged me tighter. "So sorry." His whisper was close to my ear and soothing. "Fucking madman?" Liam shook his head. Tears for Sarah rolled down my face. The tragic attack weighed heavy on my heart. Knowing Kronos wanted me to blame myself, I tried to push the guilt away, yet it still remained. If it weren't for my associations with Kronos, this would have never fucking happened. Chris led me out of Liam's room, heading towards my door. End of chapter 1, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.